Hey everybody. So today I like to talk a little bit about the big progressive Bernie Sanders. Everyone's been talking about him lately. All these people in the alternative media communities been talking about Bernie Sanders. And there was recently a little town hall with like Jimmy Dore's, like the draft Bernie town hall and whatnot. And they're trying to draft Bernie Sanders. And he's just the best politician. People are saying, oh, if only we get Bernie Sanders in, then it'll just be this big progressive wonderland. Everything will be great, all fine and dandy. It'll be amazing. That's not what's going to happen. And Bernie Sanders has a long history of opposing alternative movements, and a long history of a long, terrible history of being horrible when it comes to foreign policy. I mean, we all know that lately Bernie Sanders has been at the forefront of the whole Russia lie. Russia hacked our elections. They hacked our elections. That is the worst thing in the world. He stands behind people like John McCain and Lindsey Graham, who say that what Russia did was an act of war. Act of war. Oh, so terrible. They must be punished. And Bernie Sanders actually went as far as to say that. He has a quote, I have it here. I strongly support imposing sanctions on Russia. It's unacceptable for Russia to interfere in foreign elections. There must be consequences. That was June 15th, 2017. Remember when that came out? How horrible, how despicable. So this whole thing is a lie. There's zero evidence for any of this. Bernie Sanders constantly talks about how, Russia hacked our elections, and of which he says, of which there's a mountain of evidence. However, he doesn't really give us any. We always hear, there's so much evidence that Russia's, hacked our elections. There's zero evidence of any of this. What are you talking about? And why? It's so weird, because all these people, like Jimmy Dore, who hosted the Draft Bernie town hall, all these people know that the whole Russia narrative is a big lie. They know this, but they're supporting the person that's at the forefront of pushing this lie. I don't get that at all. This lie just really serves to not only hide, not only to hide the real fraud that occurred in the Democratic primaries, the real election fraud. It not only serves to hide that, but it serves to really hype up tensions with Russia, so that we can have a new Cold War with Russia. And that's basically worked. Bernie Sanders is partially responsible for doing that, for bringing the United States and Russia into this new Cold War mess that we're in right now. So thanks a lot, Bernie Sanders. Thanks. Big progressive you are. He's had a lot of he's on a long record of bad decisions on foreign policy. I mean, I remember in the 2014, the summer of 2014, he had like a town hall in Vermont, and I remember that he was talking about the Israel conflict at the time, with Israel and the Palestinians, and he basically said, because these evil Palestinian terrorists, because them Hamas, big scary boogeyman Hamas, because they're firing weapons at Israel from like hospitals and schools, that Israel is totally justified in blowing up those hospitals and schools. What's wrong with that? I mean, how despicable. Okay, I mean, in these Palestinians, he says that, Israel has a right to defend themselves. No, it's the Palestinians that have the right to defend themselves. These are occupied people. You have to remember that. These people are occupied. Occupied people have a right to defend themselves. And anyone who can't understand that, which is so basic, and can't understand, don't hype up tensions against Russia, a nuclear power. Anyone who doesn't understand that shouldn't be supported by all these people in the alternative media community. But Bernie Sanders is, and it's absolutely it's mind blowing. It is mind blowing. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, by the way, both voted for James Mad Dog Mattis. Them two and like 96 other senators, tons of other Democrats and whatnot, voted for James Mad Dog Mattis. And he said, Mattis is going to be a voice of moderation in the Trump administration. Really? James Mad Dog Mattis, a war criminal, is supposed to be some voice of moderation? Yeah, the war criminal is a voice of moderation. I'm not buying that BS, and that's BS. I mean, come on. And Elizabeth Warren also voted for imposing Russian sanctions. And Russian sanctions against Russia, which Bernie Sanders says he strongly supported, even though he didn't even vote for it, which was kind of weird, but I guess that's good. He didn't vote for sanctions against Russia, North Korea, or Iran. Sanctions hurt the most vulnerable people in the countries. They don't. When you impose sanctions on a country, they don't hurt the people at the top. They hurt the most vulnerable people. So that's something you have to remember. And he said that he supported that. That is absolutely despicable. And another thing, we've seen that he is at the forefront of demonizing Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, saying he's some crazy lunatic dictator. Meanwhile, we all know that Bashar al-Assad is the democratically elected leader of Syria. He is a secular leader. And he's saying all these things like, he attacks his own citizens and sprays, chemical weapons, uses chemical weapons on them. Oh, sarin gas. And then we have all these people like, yes, so-and-so in whatever village, said, they could smell the sarin gas from the next village over, which is weird because sarin gas is an odorless gas. How are you supposed to smell it from the next village over? That whole thing was a false flag. But then we have Bernie Sanders saying that, but Bashar al-Assad, he has to go. He actually said that. I think, yeah, his quote was, Assad has got to go. That was what his quote was. Now, how are we supposed to do that? How is Assad supposed to go? Well, what he's talking about is military action. Again, terrible on foreign policy. So, again, why are all these people in the alternative media community supporting someone, Bernie Sanders, who demonizes Assad, demonizes Russia, demonizes the Palestinian people and supports Israel, and votes for someone like James Mad Dog Mattis? Why are they pushing him on us? Why are people in the alternative media community keep on pushing, no matter who it is? They're all of them are pushing Bernie Sanders on us. Why are they doing this? I mean, it's so obvious. It's because Bernie Sanders, they always talk, he has good domestic policies, minimum wage, single payer, and it's so, oh my God, free college. You have to remember, none of these things will ever get passed, especially in the current state that we're in. And his foreign policy is absolutely atrocious. We cannot stand for someone who doesn't have these basic premises of, don't support a terrorist state such as Israel, don't demonize Palestinians, don't demonize Russia, who is a nuclear power, and don't demonize a democratically elected leader such as Bashar al-Assad. It's so basic, and the fact that these people in the alternative media community cannot see that is actually just beyond me. Okay, so that's all I had to say today. I'll probably be talking about this a little more in another video. But anyways, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you later.